Hi there, I'm Ember, one of the co-directors of the North Country Comic Con in Watertown, New York. We created this show to give you a sneak peek of some of the cool things coming to town this summer. Recently, I sat down with voice actor Scott Williams to discuss his career, what he's up to now, and what might be coming for Nococon this summer. The natural place to start is, how did you get started in voices in the first place?
Well, I go back to the CD-ROM era, but I did a lot of theater. That's kind of where a lot of that came from. I was never formally trained as an actor. I mean, I'm an illustrator. I don't know if people know that, and I'm letting people know also an artist. So I have an art degree. I don't have an acting degree.
Cool. So yeah, that's another good reason to
Yeah.
come see you at a Comic Con, because
Right.
that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, I've been there as I used to draw a comic called Witch Hunter many years ago. So I've been at comic. In fact, the first one I ever went to was in 1975. So I'm an old guy. I've been around the block.
So you started doing voice acting with CD-ROMs. You eventually ended up, well, not ended up. It was a step along the way, because you've done
Yeah.
some work since. But you had the role of Baxter. Then you went on to do some Pokemon stuff, a few other things. You've
Yeah.
had a
Oh, yeah.
pretty busy career.
Yeah. Even I'm amazed. I still kind of feel like I'm getting away with something.
Yeah,
What's up?
how did that all, like, how did you keep going? Like, what started it? How did you get into it? And then how did you
Um,
proceed to just keep
well,
going?
it kind of goes back many years. I used to do improvisational theater with a guy named David Shepard, and now I was doing that after art school. So I'd go to art school and then go downtown and do improvisational theater. And I was like 19 or 20, something like that. And when the Turtles came out, I think I was like a little too old because I was a college graduate. I graduated in '82.
Mm.
And one of the first professional things I had done was for Marvel Comics. And it was for a graphic novel called Super Boxers. And it took place in the far future of like 1998. And it was like the third graphic novel they ever put out. But I also got hooked up with the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. Frank Silvera was an actor. He'd been in like a lot of films. He was a black man, and he played everything but a black man.
Hmm.
So this theater was named after him. The person who ran it was named Garland Lee Thompson, the late Garland Lee Thompson. Garland played transporter operator Wilson on the original Trek series. So he basically was my theater father. So I kind of got my start doing that, painting backdrops and all of that, doing the programs, and then I started to narrate the stage readings of shows. So I would always travel up to Harlem, always to do these readings. I'd read the stage directions and all of that, and how I got hooked up with the Turtles because I had a friend. His name Richard Kranz. I used to work him when I was on Daria. Yeah, I worked in the layout department, but I did a couple of voices for that. Like I was like in 5 or 6 episodes of doing, and I did a celebrity death match, but that wasn't connected with Daria. I played Sam Jackson in that one.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's all on my Facebook page. You look at the voice of Scott, you can see all of that stuff.
Okay, cool.
I was even a journalist for a little while. I did that. I was doing political cartoons and go hanging out in City Hall and all of that. That was a lot of fun. So, but as far as getting back to the Turtles, so I had a CD burner. So I was taking these things and making CDs and sending them out because I had like some like some fake commercials that I made and all this stuff. And so I was sending them out. So I talked to my friend Richard and I said, well, do you have any place I can send these things to? And then he says, well, 4Kids are starting the Turtles again. So I called them up to ask just for the address to mail them one of these things. And they said, we're holding auditions today. So I hopped on the train, ran down there, and then ran up to the 32nd floor. I didn't know what Stockman was. I'd never seen it before. I didn't know anything about it. So they gave me the lines, which ended up in the first episode I was in, The Mousers. Then they called me back a couple of days later and said, "You got it." I just figured it was like a one-time thing, and they just kept asking me to come back. I'm like, what is this? They kept. So I'm in 29 episodes, and 28 of them is Stockman, and the 29th I played a general, and as fun as you think it was, that's how much fun it was.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So when I was a kid, I was a big Space Ghost fan, and the whole thing is, I said to myself, one of these days I want to be on a Saturday morning cartoon. Then when the Turtles were on, I never bothered to watch myself. Or doing something else, I just never bothered to. So yeah, and then the other stuff kind of came a little later on, like episodes of Chaotic, and like I've done a lot of Pokemon. Again, I never saw the show, never. So I did one called Pokemon Rise of Darkrai, and I was Darkrai in that one.
Nice.
So so all those things I grew up as a kid, I eventually did.
That's very cool. You get to just
Yeah,
check the stuff off the list.
yeah, yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. Really has been a lot of fun. Well, you have to be dedicated to it because it costs. It's a tremendous cost. Because show business is a fickle mistress
Mm.
that you can love her, but she won't always love you back. I know after being, doing the Turtles and doing Pokemon and I'm in a couple of feature films like Your Name. I know you probably have seen that. I was in Mobile Suit Gundam. It was
Yeah, I
Mobile
remember
Suit Gundam.
reading that.
Yeah. I was in Gundam Thunder. One was a movie and one was like a TV episode. I think it had been cut together or something. So, but fortunately, I was able to do a wide variety of things. Like I did product design for a company called the Danbury Mint. They made sports figures
Ah,
and they did lighthouses. People, for some reason, are into lighthouses. So they made lighthouses, and I would design design. I could draw the figure. But I'm not a sports fan, so they have to describe what it was. And then, like I did the '66 Miami Dolphins. Had Don Shula in the center, and I had to draw all these other guys. And the guy who was sculpting those figures, his name was Martin Bauer. Martin Bauer had done spaceships for like Star Wars and I think Galactica and stuff like that. But I never met him, but I
okay.
knew the name. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting stuff going mainstream on two fronts. That's very cool.
Oh, yeah. Well, on a couple of fronts. Like I said, I'm a former journalist. I interviewed Ray Harryhausen. Met him. A number of years ago. You talked to him, and I was a model building magazine. But the first big thing I had done, major thing, was a musical, believe it or not, called E-Man.
Hmm.
And E-Man to me, it had nothing to do with the comic character E-Man. There was a comic character by that name, by Joe Staton. And this was about it was based on a famous medieval play called Everyman. There was these two brothers, Ed and George Tooks. Ed is deceased now, and they go back to the '50s doing doo-wop and all that kind of stuff. That was their thing. So they wrote this musical based on this story. They updated it, made E-Man black, and made him like a jive time dude. And I played Knowledge in the piece, which is like a precursor to Stockman.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of the
So
one
that
thing
was
leads into the other.
right, right. That was long before Stockman. No, this is 1986. I was 24 years old when I pulled that stunt, and we traveled all around and all that. But I always credit E-Man with being like, that was kind of like my coming out. Even in my bios today, I always mention that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a great, great, great show.
How did you wind up getting hooked up with Leroy and his TMNT Decennium group?
Well, because we had a mutual friend, and there's this fellow named Lionel. I don't know if you know him, but
Mm.
Lionel just they were doing it together. And Lionel said, "Well, I think I can get you Scott Williams," and I was more than happy to come back and do it again. More than happy. It was like old times. So, and I just loved doing it. I mean, I kind of missed playing Stockman. Stockman was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
You're going to be with the Decennium group at Nococon. Um, what is it
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
yeah, we're looking forward to having you. It'd be really, really neat.
Yeah.
Um, what is it that you guys are going to be up to at the convention?
Well, I think I'm going to bring one of my model kits just to kind of show it off and, and let people know, I'm still working a day job and, kind of help me get out of that. And whatever Leroy wants to do is fine by me.
All right.
Whatever you want, whatever he wants. I'm totally down with it.
Obviously, people should come visit you at Nococon, but until then, where can people find you and your work?
I have you can contact me on Facebook. You can also I got Batman models by Scott. I got spaceships and hardware by Scott. I got Scott's Clearinghouse of Stuff. I got that. I got the voice of Scott, the GOBK models by Scott, and the art of Scott W. The art of Scott W is like a lot of the political cartoons I've done, over the years, going back, back when George Bush was president, and like
Mm.
some of it goes that far back.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the convention this June.
Oh, I'm looking forward to. Believe me, I'm looking forward to. I can't wait. Can't wait. I cannot wait to go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Really, and let the fans know that I really appreciate them. It means a lot. You struggle and you sacrifice and you do so much and you wonder, is it all worth it and this and that? But in the end, it is worth it. When I talk to people like yourself who are documenting all this stuff, it is worth it. It means a lot to me, more than you think.
Thank you all so much for watching. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button because we have more interviews still to come with guests and other featured creators as we count down the days to the opening of Nococon 2023. Tickets are on sale now, so be sure to get yours, and we will see you this June.
Set a course for our YouTube channel for interviews with more guests and featured creators bringing the epic to Watertown. Make it so.